All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Woman I Am platform. I'm Dr. Tarma Fleming. For those of you who don't know me, I am a licensed professional counselor, a certified life coach, an author, and I'm also the founder of I Am Whole Spiritual Empowerment Center and the Woman I Am Facebook community. Woo hoo. I am so excited tonight and honored you guys. I have my friend Mike Morris, and let me tell you, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I be reading his posts on Facebook, and when I tell you the life in his posts, like the things that when he does those reflection posts where things I've learned or I've grown, ways that I've grown, I mean, it's always on point. And so tonight, I just said, we got to get him here on the Woman I Am platform just to share with us about life. Um, I want to share a little bit of background of how, Mike, of how this got started. In 2015, I really felt God called me to himself for purpose. And in my exploration of finding meaning for my life, I would listen to a lot of free conference calling, webinars, blogs, podcasts. And when women share their story, first of all, I found out I was not alone in a lot of stuff that I was going through. And also I found the language to express myself because I believe that repression is death and
Right.
expression is life. And so it was so impactful for me that I wanted to share that experience with the Woman I Am community of just getting together, having conversations. And when women of faith or people of God get together and talk, our conversation is different.
Absolutely.
Or people who are working on their personal and spiritual growth, the conversation is different and it's always impactful. So I wanted to bring you on tonight because I really am blessed. I want to say I really am blessed by your Facebook posts of, your reflections and things that you learned through on your journey.
Right.
And so I'm honored to have you here tonight. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to the Woman I Am community.
Thank you. Thank you. And first, let me just say I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored. When I received the message, I was just like, oh, okay. But yes. Well, she gave you a little bit of background. Like she said, my name is Mike Morris. I am an educator here in Atlanta. But I'm also a filmmaker. I direct and produce films. I have a couple things streaming on platforms right now. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm many things to many people. But most importantly, I feel like my goal is to come and help and do the work of the kingdom. One of the things that I tell a lot of my students to know what your why is, and I think a lot of us have to really focus on what our purpose is when we're younger in life. We're trying to figure ourselves out. So yeah, I'm a filmmaker, a photographer. I do many things. Work on cars, rebuild computers. We could do some taxes. We can
Does it
invest in real
all.
estate. Yeah, entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. We just started on another venture as well. So we have a lot of things going
Amazing.
on.
Yeah, amazing. I think I met Mike through a mutual friend who was working on a play at the time, and
Right.
I'm also a recording artist and I write plays, and so I met him, and he started this group, a local group in Dothan that I thought was phenomenal. If he didn't move, I was going to press him to keep going with that. But
Right.
it was called Wiregrass Creatives.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that mission was?
Yeah, well, when I came to the Wiregrass area, I've lived in different places across the country. I've lived on the East Coast. I'm from Connecticut originally. I grew up there, but I've lived in Delaware. I met you in Alabama. I lived in California. I finished high school in Atlanta. So I'm kind of all over the place. But when I got to the Wiregrass, what I realized that the places that I had been to, I didn't see the same opportunities in Dothan. I saw the talent there. There were creative people, but there were no outlets for the people to express their creativity. So having a outside take on things, I started to network and realize like there's some really, really talented people, but they just don't have a platform to display that. And so I did what I always do. Instead of worrying about the problems, I just started focusing on the solution. And I figured that my place could be the solution. So we started at my house. until we got to the point where it'll be 20, 30 people at my house. And
Yeah.
it was everyone from writers to spoken word artists, hip hop artists, singers, photographers, just everyone that was creative. And we outgrew my space, and then we went to the museum, and they allowed us to be there as well. And then also the carving museum extended, an opportunity for us to come down there as well. And so that's really what it was. It was just a hub. It was like a collaborative space for creatives to come and really just sharpen one another and grow.
Yeah. And oh my God, it so resonated with me because I had started an online group,
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom Artists, and I had the same, a similar vision. I just wanted to bring people together that were creative, and I
Mm-hmm.
needed an outlet for my own creative expression. Because I mean, when I tell you, when I came to your house, I almost cried because I was like, artists, oh yeah, artists
So,
are
and
here.
the ironic part about that, I think around that time, I had the dream of doing it in Atlanta. And
Mhm.
so I had posted about it. That was a couple years back, and now we're on the verge of doing that here again in Atlanta. I've already, I've acquired some space. Now I have a nonprofit, visualtellers.org, where we educate the kids in a after school setting, in a summer camp setting. And now, I'm doing that with adults here. And it was just something that needed to be done, and I was led to do it. So I thought it was important for me to move when I was told to.
Absolutely. I love it. I mean, when you obey God, I mean, there's nothing but fruit can come out of that, blessings from that.
Sky isn't
Um,
even the limit. Like when he starts moving, and the thing is,
yeah,
he surpasses whatever we think. Like whatever
come
I thought
on.
was going to be the goal or the bar, he's like, nah, that ain't it. You thought that was it. And then he'll open another door. I'm like, I didn't even know this was in here. Like, he just keeps on surprising me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I always tell people, like when you obey the last thing God told you to do, like if you're feeling stuck, and moving
Yeah,
forward, just obey the last thing God told you to do. And then
yeah,
he opens up another door
right.
and he reveals more and more
Mhm.
and more. So with that said, as said earlier, one of the things that really intrigued me is your life lessons that you've learned.
Right.
Um, let's talk about it. And I've have a couple of your posts here pulled up, and I was like, I'm gonna go there. But let's start with what's first and foremost right now on your heart, like that you've been reflecting on.
um, the thing that I've been reflecting on the most is the lack of love in the Black community. I feel like
Mm,
there's a gender war going on right now, and I'm really not understanding it. But at the same time, I am. I understand that there's an agenda to separate us as a whole, and sometimes we're partly at fault for that.
mhm.
Not to say that we started it, but we can definitely be the solution. But I think that what our sisters in the community have been expressing is valid, and they're not heard oftentimes. I think that men also have concerns, and they're not heard, and we have to learn how to communicate together. And so that's what's been on my heart recently. I'm working on a documentary right now, um, because I just got to the point where I was seeing so much bashing online, and I said,
Yes,
but this is not it. When I go out in public and in my everyday life, I support my sisters, and they return the favor, and we live in harmony. Like I don't see the negativity that I'm seeing online, and so I knew that that was not a reflection of who Black women were. But what I was seeing online was not the same. And then at the same time, I'm a good Black man. I was raised in a family full of good Black men, but online you would know that those Black men exist, and a lot of my partners and friends, they're good Black men, but we tend to exploit and market the worst of our culture, and I think that's a problem. And so instead of me just complaining about it and making posts about it, I decided to do a documentary to show where we were as the one of the highest percentage of married individuals walking this planet, and how did we
mm,
get to this point, but not just how did we get here, what can we do to get back. And so I think that's the part where everyone can point at, Section 8, we can point at welfare, we can point at, all of these divisionary things, but we can also take the time to look and say, okay, this is what got us here. How do we get back to a place of love within the Black community?
yeah. And I think that if we be the change we want to see, right, and
Right,
not buy into the stereotypes, like I
right,
find it in our culture that we're doing a lot of the stuff that we don't want done to us, we do it to
right,
each other. And
Exactly.
there has really just been so much division anyway.
Mhm.
Never, I mean, it feels like God has allowed this division to really show people, their hearts
Right.
and where they are. And if there's been so much exposure, people that have been friends 20, 30 years, they're not friends anymore because who they voted for, whether or not they took the vaccine, it's just like,
Right.
where where did this come from? Like out of
Hmm.
the blue, it just seems like so much division is going on. And it's hard enough, between the different races and ethnicities and all that,
Hmm.
but within our own culture, when we see so much division,
Oh yeah.
and one of the things that's been on my heart about that is like really just getting to know people, just to get curious, because
Hmm.
people change. And
Right.
sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes for the worse. So just getting to know people, getting curious, asking questions. For
Hmm.
example, like my brother's favorite color was green. I woke up one day and asked him, and now it's blue. And I'm like, when did that happen?
Right.
you know,
Right.
people change. And so getting
Yeah.
curious, asking questions, where are you now in your journey? What does love and
Right.
support look like for you? This is what it looks like for me. And I
Hmm.
think communicating with each other, um, you know, and being the change that we want to see that's where we can start, at least in
Right.
our own home, looking at the man in the mirror.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it all starts with a conversation, just conversing. But I think oftentimes we forget that a conversation is a two-way street, and oftentimes people want to communicate their perspective, they want to get their
Hmm.
point across, but they are not as eager to listen. And even from early days, if anyone's worked customer service, they're going to tell you you can't solve a problem without listening to the customer. You can't, figure out and pinpoint, what it is that you need to be working towards if you aren't willing to listen to the other party. And
Yes.
so that's really what it comes down to. And that applies to everything, whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about relationships. I mean, even
Hmm.
from a parental, or a child relationship, there has to be a mutual respect where
Hmm.
communication is able to go both ways, because if not, you're going to run into a dead end every time.
Yeah. I love that.
Hmm.
Listen to each other, listen to it. We call it in psychology active listening and being
Right.
present. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of times we're in the past or we
Right.
way in the future somewhere, but be present. Like focus
Hmm.
on the person that you're talking to and be present right there in the moment. And we don't do that enough in our society. We're not present. We're
Right.
either focusing on woulda, coulda, shoulda, all that, and it's creating depression and toxic emotions,
Right.
or we're way in the future on what if, and if this and what if and worried about what hasn't happened yet, and that
Right.
creates anxiety and overwhelm. And so being present, it keeps us in a space where we can respond to life, and
Right.
be active and participate in active listening and actually hear and listen to what's
Right.
being said. Yeah.
And I think it's so important, because when we are present, we have to be able to accept people as they are. I think a lot of times we have to get out of the habit of trying to control the narrative all the time. Everyone's
Mhm.
not going to think like us. Everyone is not going to do what we would
Yes.
do. And so we find groups of people who are looking for affirmation. Everyone's online, and they're spewing all of this out. And if you disagree with them, or if you have a difference of opinion and thought, then you're ridiculed or you're outcasted, or saying they'll cut you off and they'll isolate themselves from you because
Yeah.
you have a different perspective. Well, you have to be able to be present with others who think differently than you. Everyone doesn't
Mhm.
have to think the same way as you. As long as there's a mutual respect, then you guys should be able to grow and build in that space.
Absolutely. And one key thing that you said there is that we're outsourcing, everything we need, our affirmation, our validation. So if people
Right.
make you, they can also break you, So if they
Exactly.
don't agree with you, if they're not seeing it your way, then you're all in distress, where everything that we need, our validation, our affirmation, our approval, our love, our joy, peace is
Hmm.
within us. And so anything
Absolutely.
else anybody else gives us is cherry on top, is compliment. But I don't need that because I'm already
Right.
whole, complete, and lacking nothing.
Right.
Right. And so if we went if we
That's the
were
thing. That
not,
happiness has to come from within.
that's it. That's it.
Now, I'm saying that happiness needs to has to come from within, and so many people are seeking it from other people. It's just like take a moment and spend some time with yourself. You know, get to know
Yeah.
who you are, get to know how God created you. You know, get to know what you love. Some people don't even know what they like because they've spent their whole life trying to please other people.
Mm,
You know, or they're surrounded by yes men who do everything that they say. So you have all of these different elements that people are experiencing, and it's just like, do you know who you are? Why are you
mhm.
depending so heavily on another person to make you happy when you have the ability to, make yourself happy?
Right.
My son, he's he's young, he's dating and in his in his younger
Oh
years,
my
and
goodness.
I'm telling
Already.
him, I said, man, it's cool to go out and kick it by yourself sometimes. You don't have to be up under somebody all the time. And he's like, yeah, I know, Dad. So the past couple of weeks, we just been running through the city. So I'm like, we went to the movies, or we might go shoot some pool, or we might go do, whatever it is, things that I may, go do on my own. What I'm saying? I'm teaching him that it's okay to do that by yourself as well. Yes,
Mhm.
spoil your lady, take her out, and all of those things. But it's okay if you, go do something by yourself sometimes too, because at the end
Mhm.
of the day, you have to know how to, keep yourself happy. And if any of the things that you deem to be important are removed from your life, you don't want it to shatter you. You want to be able to still be able to sustain, for whatever reason, if one person or the other, decides to remove themselves. Even if
Yes.
you don't, even if you don't decide to remove them, someone could say, hey, I don't decide to, deal with you anymore. And if all of your happiness lies in them, then what are you gonna do? So you have to know how
Absolutely.
to do that for yourself.
Yes. And oh, I love that. And I do want to pause there and commend you and give you honor because, I've been wanting to say that to you. Like, I'm just so proud of you. It's like you are a representation of Black excellence. I love the way you share with us the things that you are imparting to your son. Like, I'm like, whoo, I didn't get that kind of education when I was growing up, financial stability, and all that stuff, investing and the things that you teach your son and daughter are amazing. I'm so proud of you. And I'm grateful to God for that gift in you to be able to impart into the kids that you teach and your children. It's
Thank you.
amazing.
I really appreciate that. I take joy in it. Like, I love being a parent. I think that children are a reflection of their parents, and
Mhm.
so why wouldn't you invest? Like any parent, why wouldn't you put as much as you can? Especially knowing what we as a culture have to deal with in the country. Why wouldn't that motivate you to want to put even more because we know the obstacles that are out there? And so financial literacy was just, a part of it. We invest time. Time is our biggest asset. And so I think when you start to really spend time with your kids, you learn a lot more about what's going on in the world. When
Mhm.
people would joke about us because, we still would have dinner every night. So,
Mhm.
we sit at the table and they would like, oh, y'all act like the Cosbys. I'm like, nah, bro, like this. But you know what? My uncle, my dad, like they put me onto that. You know what I'm saying? So if I would
Okay.
have never seen that, then how could I replicate it? But
Yeah, I was gonna
no,
ask you where did this motivation
yeah,
come from?
it
Yeah.
was it was it was one of those things like the man, I was raised around some tremendous men, like men of faith, men who honored their word. What I'm saying? They were stand up
Yes.
men who weren't afraid to work, men who had multi skills, like they weren't just one dimensional. And they were
Mhm.
supported by strong Black women. And so when you come from a background where you have strong men that are supported by strong Black women, that's a recipe for success. Um, my kids not only get to see it through myself, but they see it through their grandfather, who's and my mom. Saying, they see it on the other side as well. But it's one of those things where I don't have to make it up. They can feel it. Like every day, I tell my kids I love them. When my generation coming up, the men didn't say it as much. The older men didn't say it, so I make it a point. Whatever I felt like I didn't get, I make it a point to put it
Mhm.
into the kids. But
Yes.
it really comes back to time and really just looking at all the things that you learn and trying to get a game to your kids early. Just try to really set them up for success because we see that it works in other cultures. It's been working. So, if it's not broken, you don't have to fix it. Just do it. Just apply it and go forth with
Wow. Can you just be my uncle or my brother or something? All that. Man, that's wonderful. So you guys, I do want to honor his time. He is working on a film. He's always super busy. So I want to take time now to just open up the line. And if you guys have any comments, quick questions or comments, we'll you can go ahead and answer your ask your question or let us know your comment now if you want to. That time went by really fast.
It did. It did. I love the
Time
fact that
goes
you
fast.
even that you have this platform and that you're doing this is so necessary. To have a space where we can have open dialogue. You know,
Yes,
I think it's really
absolutely.
cool.
Thank you so
I
much.
commend you for doing that. So allow me to salute you for that.
Thank you. I receive it. Thank you so much for the encouragement. Nobody has a question or a comment? Hey, I think somebody is trying.
Someone's trying to chime in. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
a part of me, y'all. I'm out here in this humidity in Atlanta, and it felt like when I was over in Dubai. Like, as soon as you come
Right?
outside, this humidity is it's not playing. I don't know what
Man, I
we've
was low
done.
key jealous. I was like,
I
let
don't
me
know
get
what
to
we've done,
Dubai,
but
Lord. That is one of
fix
my
it. Global
dreams.
warming is real.
Man, I was low key jealous. I was like, I really want to go to Dubai. That's one of my dreams. Kimmy
Oh, you
says,
gotta
thanks
go.
for having him join. Okay. Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you for joining.
Kimmy,
Thank
Um,
what's
you.
going on?
I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you said a lot of things, resonated with me. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback.
amen. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if anything, you guys, it just stirs you up to think, to be reflective, to take some space and time for self-care and go within and be reflective and hear God on what's next, what's your next right move, and what you should be aware of in this moment in time. And so just having him here, it stirs me up to want to grow, to want to know more, because I'm a lifelong learner. And so I feel like we never arrive, that we always should be growing and learning. And so when I see Black excellence and when I see him just being so reflective in life, it encourages me, it inspires me to be reflective as well and to have that growth mindset, that where we're always learning and we're always open to life and open to whatever God wants to do in our life. So thank you so much, Mike, for joining us on tonight. It's been an honor, a blessing. You've got to come back.
Thank you.
Somebody
Thank you.
just sent you a friend request. I may need to use his services in the near future. God bless him. Oh, Kimmy, I think it's Kimmy. Yeah, she said she sent you a
Absolutely.
friend request. Yeah, if
Okay.
you want to share how they can reach you for
Oh,
any.
absolutely. I'm on all of the social media platforms. My company is Visual Tellers, VISUALTELLERS. I also have my for-profit production company, visualtellers.com, nonprofit, where we're teaching and educating the youth. That's at visualtellers.org.
Mm-hmm. Love
So
it.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those handles are going to be Visual Tellers.
Awesome. Thank you again so much. Please come back and visit
I
us.
will.
Keep in touch with a sister.
I
I
will.
got
I
to keep
will.
in
I
touch
will.
with my creatives, with the artists, and because that's such an important part of my life too, my creative side. So I got to keep in touch. But thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your sunlight that you got there. You got a little bit left, it looks like.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm wishing you the best and hope everything turns out well with the film.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. God bless you. You guys have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Be blessed,
Bye bye.
sis.
You too.